Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to Global Ventures here on Planet Coaster. Now first of all, I just want to apologise for there not being an episode last week. There was supposed to be, however I ran out of time basically. I had all the footage recorded, I had it in Premiere ready to be edited and sped up and have all the voiceover like this added onto it. But I ended up running out of time to record the voiceover before I went to a careers fair at the University of Hertfordshire. Not as a student looking for a job, but as an even as an employer, but as a business owner wanting to show off their business, which is very nice, very lovely. I do really enjoy having the opportunity to do that kind of thing. I'm very, very appreciative that I am able to do that kind of thing. But because it was a 3-4 hour event, plus all the setup, plus all the takedown, plus I wasn't that well that day anyway, it meant I came home with no energy, no voice, and no chance of getting my video done on time because it was meant to go up by 7. And I didn't get home until I think it was about 4:30. So normally it takes, the length of this video, it will take just to add my voiceover, plus to add all the music and all the other stuff. It takes about an hour to edit these videos, depending on the length of the video. And then it takes like another 2 to 3 hours to render it once that's done. So I do apologize that there was no video last week. However, because there was no video last week, I've had time to record footage for next week's video. And that will be going up on time because I have no excuse to not get the voiceover done, because I'm pretty much going to be recording all the voiceovers for all my time lapses for the next few weeks in the same day. So you might hear my voice start to tail off a little bit towards the end of that massive bulk recording session, plus loads of other videos that I'll be recording, plus loads of XVI videos I'm going to be recording, plus the Siege series which I'll be starting in the future as well. I'm going to be a very busy bunny over the next few weeks. But let's talk about what's on screen right now. Right now this train looks like nothing. Looks like absolutely nothing, and right now I am improvising with this train. I hope to be able to replace it with something else in the future. I haven't actually checked the Theme Maker's Toolkit to see if someone has made it. I don't think anyone would have made it, but I'll be very pleasantly surprised if someone has made it, because this is meant to be the Orient Express, and more specifically I think it's the Simplon Orient Express, the one that runs between Paris and Vienna. So this is the Around the World in 80 Days, Autour du Monde on 80 jours. That is right, isn't it? I think that's right. Around the World in 80 Days. This is in the Boulevard of the Parisians area of the park, and that's still kind of a placeholder name, but right now I'm really tempted to make it the actual name because I think it is quite a nice name for this section of the park, but we shall see. But yeah, this is meant to be the Simplon Orient Express. So there are lots of Orient Expresses around the world. The Simplon one is the one that's probably most well known. It's the one with the blue and white carriages. The staff uniform is all in blue, and it is the one that runs between Paris and Vienna, if I remember correctly. And I really hope I have done, because I've themed the whole train around this idea. So this is, as I say, the Orient Express. This is meant to be the station in Paris to which the Orient Express arrives and departs from. I thought originally it was Gare du Nord. You will see me put Gare du Nord on the station signs. Please don't comment telling me I've got it wrong, because I know I've got it wrong, and next episode you will see me change it to Gare de Lyon, which is where the Orient Express used to run from, and I believe still does. So this is kind of the segue scene between the last of the ground floor scenes and the big ascent to almost the top of the building. And I already know what the next scene is going to be because I've already recorded the footage, and you will see that in next week's video. But for this little bit here, it was kind of just a little gateway scene between Paris and basically the rest of the attraction. So the story has changed for the ride slightly now. And again, next episode I'll explain it a little bit better, because some stuff happens either in this episode or next episode that requires me to rebuild some stuff. I don't actually know what happened, that's the thing. So I'm hoping watching this footage back will tell me what happened. But I had to rebuild certain aspects of the beginning of the ride, so I kind of redid the story a little bit, because I made it up on the spot, let's be honest. And having the chance to redo it gives me a chance to, rethink it as well. So the story now goes that Phileas, Fogg and Passport 2 start in London, same as before, but without their third companion, or without their third wheel, essentially, because we all know really the love story is between Phileas Fogg and Passport 2. The woman is just there just to sell books, basically. We all know what the real love story is, but anyway, jokes aside, he takes the bet, he travels to Paris. There he meets his companion, who is still currently called Monique, but I might change the name just to make it a little bit more different to the film. We shall see. But at this point here, they're boarding the Orient Express that's going to take them off into Europe. But something goes wrong, and the next scene, which you'll see next week, they end up stranded somewhere. But I'm not going to give much more away about that, because I want to talk about what's going on here. So this is me building a railway station, which is something I do all the time in OpenTTD, but I never really have to think about it too much, because I just plop down some platforms, make a train stop there, and bosh, we're done. Whereas here I actually have to theme it, and I have to think, what does a railway station look like? Now, because originally I made the mistake of thinking that the Orient Express went from Gare du Nord, I actually built this station to look like Gare du Nord. So you'll have to bear with me a little bit there, but I think it's transferable. I don't actually know what Gare de Lyon looked like back in 1872, but it could well have looked like Gare du Nord. Similar architects, similar architect style. You never know. You never know. But yeah, this was a tricky room to work in, actually, because it looks really big on the surface, but when you actually start building in it, you realise that it's actually quite pokey. Trying to fit 2 train carriages to resemble a train, rather than just a single carriage and a platform, was harder than you think. Plus then trying to get round the thing of why is there a water channel running right through the middle of a major station. That's something I think we're just going to have to use artistic license for in the end and just say, I don't know. I do not know. Right, I think here is where I see where we went wrong, because I copied and pasted the animatronics over, and I'm still at this moment in time editing the Reform Club in London, and that is the building that I had to rebuild next episode, which you will see. Next episode is quite a long one, actually. There's a lot of stuff that gets built and added, and I had to really dig deep to actually get it done, because there's a lot of stuff where I just kept looking at it and thinking, oh, does it actually look okay? And I had to sort of push myself through it, and then at the end, when I looked back and saw the finished product, I kind of sat there and thought, yeah, actually that does look kind of cool. And you can see here as well, I'm copying and pasting the colours that each animatronic has. I've actually got a Google Doc now with it all copied and pasted in, so I can just refer to that when I'm doing these animatronics. Because apart from Fisk, all the other animatronics are pretty much going to be in the same clothes throughout the ride. And the reason Fisk is going to be different is because he is constantly in disguise, trying to capture what he thinks is a bank robber in Phileas Fogg and Passport 2, but what are actually just innocent civilians trying to win a bet, or a wager in this case. Still want to get off the idea of it being a gambling thing. So I like the story of, you know, Phileas Fogg can become the Minister of Science if he wins. And essentially, you know, it really is a race. He's racing against time in order to get around the world in 80 days. So we'll call it a race from now on, in order to win the race. But yeah, this is Fisk getting added in. And this is kind of where I started to think, what does the Orient Express actually look like? So I did some Googling, found some nice pictures. It's modern, the modern version of the Orient Express, but I think the blue and the white has always been around. So it was just colouring in the staff uniform, basically. I almost was tempted to go with the murderer on the Orient Express style, but I don't really want that association either. It's a really good film, by the way. I know a lot of people have criticised the Kenneth Branagh film, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. It's made me want to read the book, which is something that hasn't happened for me for a long, long time. Although I went to see David Copperfield the other day as well, and that makes me want to read the book too. So maybe I'm just getting to that age now where reading books is becoming fashionable again. But it's not like I gave up reading or anything, by the way. I just stopped reading books. Anyway, you probably don't care about that. So this is the famous Orient Express, the blue and the white going in now. And I do think it looks a little bit better with all this stuff added in. As I say, I'm really improvising with the train carriages. If I can find a better one on the workshop, or even if I absolutely have to, find a model of a train carriage on Blender and kind of make it myself. You know, kit bash it, basically. Something which I've talked about on here before. And kind of make it work that way, then I'll probably do that. It's time though, right now. It is absolutely time. XVI is so close to launching the demo of Project Cavier now, so it is all hands on deck. And I do not envy the position of my colleagues right now, because I've kind of got the easy job still. I play test the game, I fill out the bug reports, and that's about it. I'm not the one who's up till the early hours most mornings fixing the game and actually making it work and all that stuff. So, as I say, I've got a lot of admiration and respect for my for my teammates, my colleagues who are working hard on that. Meanwhile, I can mess around here recording theme park videos and, you know, time lapses and all that stuff, and basically take it easy for a little bit. I'm quite happy doing that right now. I like to be busy, as I've said before. I do like to be busy, but at the same time, it's nice to just kick back and do my own thing once in a while. But yeah, this is it's starting to look a little bit more like the Orient Express now. I think I do go and replace the same windows in a second as well, just to finish it up a little bit more. But I mean, this is pretty badly improvised, if I'm honest. It kind of works from a distance. It works because I'm looking at it up close a lot when I'm building it. It's when you zoom out and sort of look at it. Plus, when you're on the boat on the actual ride, you only see the carriages for like 5 to 10 seconds. So if it resembles the Orient Express, you could probably get away with it. And for the most part, it does resemble the Orient Express. So I think I have kind of gotten away with it a little bit. And I kind of try and make these windows look a little bit more train carriage-like rather than the mess that they were before. And it's passable. I think that's the main thing. It's passable. And I'm always my biggest critic when it comes to things like this. So you guys are probably looking at it thinking it's not that bad. Whereas I'm looking at it thinking it could be a lot better. But I like that. I like the fact that there's always room for improvement. It means that you never stop learning. But yeah, here are the windows going in. And then one of the beauties of this game is you can just copy and paste stuff across. So I copy those windows like that, and then I grab all of them and I copy them over to this carriage like this. And that is the rolling stock done, pretty much. You can see Fisk hiding away in the background there. He's disguised as a conductor on the train, or a porter. Here's Passport 2 just messing around with the luggage. Because, you know, as well as being Phileas Fogg's valet, his butler, his manservant, whichever you prefer, he is, of course, also the pack horse. He carries all the luggage and all the other heavy stuff. And I think in a second, it might be next episode actually. Currently, Monique is standing next to the luggage, but I think I sit her on top of it in a little bit. So, you know, he's trying to check something in one of the bottom cases, and she's sitting on top of the pile. Now, this is where the station signs went in, and I kind of figured that the Orient Express would have its own dedicated platforms at, well, what I thought was Gare du Nord. Here we go. You can see me putting it in wrong. I do change it next episode, don't worry. I kind of figured that it would have its own set of platforms and its kind of own lounge and all that kind of thing. So I kind of decked out. I keep saying kinda. I decked out the station as best I could in the Orient Express colours, thinking that, you know, they must have at least one dedicated platform, surely. Even back then, they must have had that thought in the back of their minds. And then this was literally just in case you didn't already know what this was. This is the Orient Express, and you know, the real thing does have this as well. By the way, I'm not just doing this to be patronising. The real Orient Express does have the Orient Express written above some of the carriages, or Simplon Orient Express, or Paris, Vienna, Istanbul, I think is the other place where it serves. So you know, it felt like it had to go in. Plus, when you're on the ride, you won't necessarily recognise it as being the Orient Express, so it's always nice to have, you know, the even though it's the genuine article, it's always nice to have a little signifier as well that this is the Orient Express. You'll have to kind of ignore the glitching a little bit. If you zoom out a little bit too far, you can see the signs poking through. But besides that, I think right there we've got good signage. The Orient Express. It's nice and clear. It's very obvious what this is. And it all looks very nice and very lovely. Watching this back, actually, I'm starting to like this design a little bit more. I still wasn't keen at the end of this. And then right here, I'm adding screens in, but I don't really think we need them. I think I can just put another train carriage behind, and it would cover the gap up quite nicely. And I think here I'm just changing the wall layout a little bit as well. Which again, I don't think was necessary. I think I could have got away without having to do that. One of the problems of adding multiple screens like this is I then have to take an image and basically split it in half so that it covers the screens properly. Otherwise, it will look really weird. So I think I might just remove the screens, because again, I'm looking above the carriages, whereas when you're in the boat, your eye level is basically, you know, the center of the carriage. So no one's really going to be looking up and over it like I'm doing right here. So I can remove the screens. This bit here I might add a screen, which I'm adding in a screen here. But what I think it's going to be is like a silhouette of the Orient Express leaving the station. to kind of symbolize the transition into the next bit of the ride. There'll be some magnificent music. This is one point where I will look to the Murder on the Orient Express, the 2017, I think it was 2017. God, that feels like ages ago now. It was ages ago. But that scene where the Orient Express leaves Istanbul, it's a really, really well done scene. I've seen some VFX artists criticize the fact that you can quite clearly see it's CGI, and well, yeah, is the answer I would give to that. Because imagine trying to get a real locomotive and a real carriage or set of carriages and try and recreate that scene. It would be borderline impossible. So I do not mind at all that it was CGI, because it still looks very fantastic, and the music makes the part as well. Speaking of music, I might have some exciting news on that front, because through the careers fair that I was talking about earlier on in this video, I think I might have found someone who can help create sound effects and music for this series. I'm not going to say too much about it right now, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to go into it before it can become official, but I just thought I'd throw it out there a little bit, because that's one of the things that was kind of worrying me about this series. Was this ride especially, there's a lot that sort of hinges on good sound editing and good music, and I mean, music I could probably find royalty free online, but the sound mixing as well is something that I would have struggled with. So I'll be very, very happy to get someone on board to help out with that, and I will have more news for you on that as and when I can. But it will make the park, basically having that kind of addition will make the whole thing so much better and so much more immersive and vibrant, and just, it will fix a lot of problems that I was worried about, which I'm really, really happy with. Right, so the roof goes on, and here I use a little exploit which I thought I'd never really use in this park, but we're doing it now anyway, and that is placing hidden pathways underneath the platform here, so that I can add some benches to actually make this look like a proper station platform. Now, I spend a long time trying to get this pathing just right, and here I think I have got it right, and then I muff it up and I have to go back and do it again. The good news is I have now got it, so I'm happy with that. And most people put the path in, put the benches in, then remove the path, but because the pathway is absolutely nowhere near anything important, I could just leave it. I think it'll be fine just leaving it. It means the benches will always be there. I won't have to worry about an update, perhaps removing the benches or any nonsense like that. And it makes it feel like a real station again. It feels like a proper station platform where actual things are happening. And it just feels like a lived-in world. I like the fact there's animatronics, there's some kineticism, is that the right way of saying it? Kinetic activity basically happening on the platform. It's not just static images or anything like that. And it just feels a lot more real. It feels, real. That's probably the best word I can use for it. It just feels real. And that's something I've always struggled with in this project so far, is actually making these things look real. So I'm happy that it's happening. It feels a lot more realistic. It feels a lot more lifelike. There's a lot of animation involved in this, and it will transition nicely into the rest of the ride, I feel. And as I said, next week's episode has a really big scene added to the very top of the ride, almost at the peak of the drop. There's a couple more scenes before we get to that bit, and there's the extra lift hill, of course, and then we tumble down the drop, and then it's pretty much the rest of the journey from there. So I'm trying to kind of break this ride up, and I'm still not 100% sure what sort of room will have what scene, but obviously we've got London to start with, then we've got the paddle steamer, which you can just make out in the background there, then we've got the centre of Paris, then we've got Gare de Lyon here, then the next episode will be somewhere between Paris and Vienna. I won't give too much away there, but we've still got to transition into because we don't end up in Vienna. I'll give you that one, spoiler alert. We don't end up in Vienna, we have to go through Italy, so it starts to follow the path of the book again. So we end up in Italy, and then we end up going through the Suez Canal and places like that, and that's when we tumble down the drop. And I think the end of the Suez Canal will be when we go down the drop, and there'll be some kind of, in the plot of the ride, there'll be some kind of moment where Fogg realizes that Fisk is after him and he blames Passport 2 or something like that. Something where, as well as actually having a drop in the ride, there's also a drop in the story. and you think, oh no, he's not going to make it. That kind of thing. That's the vibe I'm going for. But then obviously it all comes good in the end, because you know it's a family park. You can't have it all end on a sour note, and it's meant to be a moral, you know, inspiring moral of the story at the end as well. So I'm just finishing off the platforms here. I went with wood in the end because I thought wood looked a little bit more prototypical for the time period, but again I might be wrong. Concrete and metal could well have been a thing by then, but I think wood was the major building material for big buildings back then, or at least for the floors. And that's pretty much it. That's all I can say for this episode. I'm kind of going to just leave you with the music for the last minute or so, and we'll come back next week and we'll show you the next scene and the rebuilding of London as well. So until then guys, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. There's been some really good feedback from the series over the last few weeks, so I'm really happy with that, and let's hope we can keep the momentum going. Besides that, drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes, or some rides, or even some scenes in this ride as well. If you have some ideas for that, feel free to drop them down below. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. There's not much time left to listen to the music, so I'm just going to leave you with it anyway. But thanks for watching guys, and until next time, I will see you soon.